Hey, hold on a second. I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Yeah, here we go. I'm still having. I don't know why I can't get any. I don't have any audio incoming. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Oh, that was my
There
fault.
it is. I can hear you now.
That's 100% on me. Okay. We'll do it again. Welcome to the
Bring up
HawgBeat,
the
the
downfall.
HawgBeat Hoops Show. I am JC Hoops, Jackson Collier, and we are talking about John Calipari taking over as the head basketball coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks. 14th basketball coach in program history, sets Arkansas up to be one of the most marketable destinations in college basketball, a hire that really shifts the entire landscape of the sport. Just what are some of your initial thoughts right now, Daniel?
I mean, it's a fantastic hire. I mean, he hit it. Hunter Yurchek hit it out of the park as initially, right? Like we still have a whole season to play, and there's not a team, but from the outset, it looks as though that it was a grand slam hire, and like you said, it shook the college basketball landscape. Not just the college basketball landscape, man. There are and the NBA teams that are talking about this. There are NBA media outlets that are talking about this, and so some of them not great. Not great things to say. I mean, most of them have been positive from what I've seen, but there's a whole lot of buzz about Arkansas, which can help right now. The fact that they don't have a team, that all that extra publicity definitely helps out.
For sure. And, when this news was starting to leak out a little bit Sunday and Monday and all that sort of stuff, Arkansas was leading on SportsCenter. Then I think they officially talked about them being in talks and looking like a report was going to be finalized at some point soon. It led on ESPN, it led on SportsCenter. Everything was popping up about Arkansas, Arkansas, Arkansas. And as good of publicity as that was, there was also a lot of responses that were kind of skeptical. Like, why would John Calipari leave Kentucky for Arkansas? He's won a national championship at Kentucky. He's paid a lot of money at Kentucky. Why would he leave for a job like Arkansas? A Twitter buddy of ours, Unbiased Brim, even put together the compilation of all the social media and the big media guys talking down on Arkansas a little bit. But any publicity is good publicity, and everybody's talking about Arkansas right now.
Yeah, it's I got my oil changed yesterday, and it was every 3 minutes on the ticker. It was John Calipari finalizing a deal to be the head coach at Arkansas, and it's a big thing, and hopefully it works out for the best.
Yeah, and so you mentioned earlier, Arkansas doesn't have a team right now. John Calipari mentioned that multiple times in his press conference. I guess we'll actually let's start with the press conference. I thought he dominated the press conference. He was really funny, he was witty, he was working the room in the introduction, told really good stories. He's always been a very charismatic guy. I think that's gone back to his time at Memphis, or as long as I've been aware of him in the basketball world. What were your thoughts just on his overall performance there?
I totally agree. He had quite a bit of riz going on with the crowd, and he really worked him really well. Which as far as winning the press conference, I feel like he did that pretty well. One of the things that stuck out to me is he just kept naming every connection that he had to Arkansas, whether it was Frank Broyles, whether it was Nolan Richardson, whether it was Joe Klein, whether it was obviously John Tyson, and Arkansas we always try to find coaches and our leaders that are connective ties, right? Like, we want in-state guys to lead the programs. And he's not from in-state, but he has so many connections that I feel like he's just going to hit that ground running.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And looking at building a roster, in the middle of his press conference, there was another Kentucky commit, Santos Cyril, who just
Mhm.
requested his release from his letter of intent. Jaden Quaintance, obviously, it's already been reported he requested his release. There's still a lot of movement potentially on the active Kentucky roster and with their recruits. What are you seeing kind of there as far as who do you think might come?
I mean, the first name that I think of would be DJ Wagner. Felt like he did really well there, and he was. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I felt like he was more connected to Cal than he was to Kentucky itself. Yeah, he's one that I'm interested in. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce his name. The 7-2 center that is over there.
Just call him Big Z.
Big Z. Yeah, that works. Yeah, he's one. He's one that I think that will probably follow as well. And then I feel like Cal's first call is probably going to be Quaintance and Cyril. That would be my guess after his the only three guys that are left on the team right now. With Blocker, Battle, and Mark.
Right. Yeah, I've been given some names just like what to look out for. Then Rob Cassidy, over our national analyst over at Rivals, put out his list ranking the most likely guys who would potentially follow Calipari. And after watching him today, I don't know how you wouldn't follow Calipari. He went on and on multiple times about how he's a player's coach. It's about treating the players right. When you lose, you don't blame the players. Like everything all came back to it's about the players. He's unapologetically about that. And I think that's very admirable. I think it bodes well and really proves why he's been such a great recruiter for so long. But in those lists and in those names I've been given, it's Jaden Quaintance, it's Carter Knox, and what was it? Billy Richmond. It's those three from their current signing class, plus DJ Wagner and Big Z, as you mentioned as well. So those are some names I think to monitor moving forward. And that gets you a solid, at least base moving forward. And now I'm not saying that's a guarantee that all five of those are going to end up in Fayetteville.
Right.
But I do think it's something to watch. I think they're going to make an effort to try to get at least most of those guys here, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I do feel like as far as with Quaintance, he is a freshman, and on top of being a freshman, he's also 16, 17 years old. So he's really young, and he's very talented, very athletic, very strong. But I feel like Cal's probably going to want to go after another more experienced center. He talked about that in both of his press conferences. Like the experienced guys are the ones that are making those deep runs. So I think he'll probably look for some more help down low in the transfer portal, just to kind of come alongside Quaintance, and Big Z would also do that as well. But that's what I'm thinking right now.
And I think, he's in a position he has to kind of adapt his philosophy on roster building. That's one of the concerns I think some people had, or especially national and Kentucky fans were like, oh, well, he can't win today because he doesn't recruit the portal, and he always does the one and done process. But if you're given a roster that has 0 players, you can't just add 13 freshmen. That's not how it works. So, he's going to add some freshmen. He's going to try to maybe try to retain a player or two from the Arkansas roster, try to bring a couple from Kentucky that weren't freshmen, that were from his active roster, and then hit the portal after that. But I think he's going to have a really diverse approach in how he goes about building this roster. And having a fully blank slate really kind of expedites that process of getting him acclimated to using the transfer portal more fully.
Yeah. No, having a clean slate is going to be I feel like it's both a good thing and a bad thing. Like it's a good thing, or it's a bad thing, I guess. And in that there's no players, right? Like there's a whole lot of work to do, but I think it's a good thing in that he can start completely brand new and let all 13 guys know, like, this is what I'm about. This is the standard. I feel like that'll be good for him. And I would look for him to give a call to Caleb Battle and Tremont Mark and Layden Blocker and see, if what the interest level is there. But I think it's a good thing that he's got kind of a blank slate.
Absolutely. Now we have, so just so you're aware, we have a running Q&A over here. So if you want to ask us any questions, we can get to them. Mr. Dunlap Sr. asked any chance he brings back any of the guys that entered the portal. Daniel kind of just touched on that. In regards to bringing players back to a program that entered the portal, it's a two-way street. Coach has to want them back. The players have to want to be back. If guys like Battle, Mark, Blocker, or anybody else who entered the portal who haven't committed yet, if they want to be back, it's up to Cal to give them that opportunity or determine if he wants them back or not. I think in those players in particular, I think they're looking for certain things. I think Layden Blocker wants a clear vision. He wants a clear role defined and everything. He wants a good situation. He's not going to come back just because it's Arkansas, just because it's a new coach. I think Caleb Battles even made it clear as recently as on an Instagram Live last night that he wants a starting role and all that sort of stuff. So, different players want different things. I'm not exactly sure what Tremont Mark wants. He was the go-to guy here last year. He had a different role at Houston. Who knows what he could want at this point, but that's something to consider. So maybe potentially keep an eye on those three or even more.
Yeah. I don't know. Caleb's Battle said he's, wanting a starting role. Like he's not, that's what his goal is next year. I don't know if that would be something that Cal would even promise to a guy, which might deter him from, wanting to return. But I mean, last time they played, Caleb Battle dropped 34 points on 8 of 16 shooting. So, maybe he does come back and they can work that offense kind of coming back from the last half of the season like he had.
Well, and to your point earlier, though, Battle would bring a lot of experience. He's an older guy. He's been in college for a while. So if you're looking at having a scoring threat offensively who has that college experience and having that age, like Calipari is talking about earlier, Battle might be a good guy to bring back. Who knows? I think he could even potentially be a starter as well as he can score the ball. He's one of the most gifted scorers I've seen when he gets the opportunity and when he gets hot. He's one of those flamethrower type players that just as soon as he starts feeling it, the basket's an ocean. Yeah. So DK94 asked, are you still looking good for Payne, Antigua, and Martin? So I've had a few actually really good sources reach out and say Kenny Payne was really likely to be on the Arkansas basketball staff with John Calipari. I've had a couple suggest that Antigua and Martin are likely to follow, but not not as committal as I've had people suggest about Kenny Payne. So I would say it's likely that all three, there's a decent chance all three, but I would definitely say that Kenny Payne is up there in likelihood.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to
that. So, and you mentioned it earlier. I just love how funny he was.
Yeah.
Like he was comfortable on stage. It's not just that he was doing the whole press conference thing and he was pointing at people and waving and all that sort of stuff. No, he was making fun of Joe Klein, who's one of the best Arkansas Razorback basketball players of all time, openly making fun of him. It's all in good fun. It's not anything derogatory, anything actually mean. There's no malice behind it, but it was really comforting. It wasn't, for whatever reason, Arkansas fans are like, oh, this can't be real. Calipari is such a good coach. Why would he ever be in Arkansas? Surely he won't pull a Dana Altman. But you see him being so comfortable like that. And he's having a conversation with Corey Beck mid introduction, talking about, oh, well, Nolan loved you. He was still hard on you, all this sort of stuff, like engaging directly, like putting the rest of the presser on pause and engaging. I thought that really spoke volumes for how comfortable he is in this position already.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that when we, at least when I've looked at Calipari from afar, like when he's been at Kentucky for the last 15 years, I don't think I've ever really seen that side of him. It's probably just because I haven't paid close attention to their program, but it was really cool to see him, like you said, engage with the audience and his and the former players and all that stuff the way that he has. I think that was really impressive for me.
I think someone who really does come away from this whole process looking really, really good and really, really strong is Hunter Yurachek. He was very much criticized vocally, kind of made an acknowledgement of that a little bit during the introduction and during the press conference, saying he was given plenty of solicited and unsolicited advice from fans. Ultimately made probably the best hire of the coaching cycle this year. I mean, definitely one of them, if not the best, biggest splash for sure. It's all over sports networks and talking shows and all that sort of stuff. What do you make of some of Yurachek's comments and how he came out of this?
Well, he said in the past on that one, it was on that One Star Recruits podcast that he doesn't pay attention to the internet, or he doesn't pay attention to replies on social media, but really felt like he took the jabs at those people, kind of like a gotcha situation. But I mean, he went about it really tight to the vest, which is something he has done in the past. He did it with the Pittman hire as well, and I think in doing that, it's a good thing in that, you know, you have your man. I don't think that, like, if this had leaked that Cal was talking to Arkansas a week and a half ago, you know, 2 days out, you know, however long it's been since Muss left, because it's been a long few days. But if this had leaked, you know, 5 or 6, 7 days ago, I don't know that it necessarily would have come to fruition, because Kentucky would have, you know, worked for some kind of you know, some kind of a counteroffer, which was allegedly not there. But I mean, he played it really tight to the vest, and I think that worked out the best for him. But I think, I mean, it's just all in good fun, you know. As long as you come out with a win, it's okay to look back and say things in jest. If, you know, if this had been a torrential perennial downfall, I don't think he's making those kinds of those comments. But, you know, when you hit a home run, you're allowed to strut it a little bit.
Absolutely. I thought it was really funny when he made sure to point out, we only offered this job to one person and he's sitting next to me. You know, fans will debate that and whatever, and I'm not here to debate it or anything, but I thought that was a nice little, like, AD language / knowledge bomb. I'm going to drop it. We're going to end everything here. Cal is our coach. Coaching search doesn't matter, except I got my guy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. Michael Baylor asked, do you think Ronnie Brewer stays on? Honestly, I would imagine so. I don't have any necessarily intel regarding whether or not Ronnie Brewer is going to stay on staff officially. I have a hard time believing that Calipari would not retain Ronnie Brewer. He's an Arkansas legend, comes from a legendary Arkansas family, has been on staff for a while now, does really good work on the staff. Ronnie Brewer is the perfect program ambassador because he played at the University of Arkansas. He comes from a family that played for the University of Arkansas, played in the NBA, is a really good coach, can develop players and cut his teeth kind of on the AAU circuit, and really has plenty of connections and does a really good job recruiting as well. So he's definitely an asset, and I think there's no question that he should be retained. I would imagine that's the way that it's trending. But I don't have any, like, hard set intel on that.
Yeah, and something that stuck out to me that Cal said in his media press conference was the priority on in-state recruiting. Keeping a guy like Ronnie Brewer on staff is only going to make that much easier. You know, you've got guys like Terry and Burgess and JJ Andrews in these upcoming classes that having that in-state connection with Ronnie Brewer, I feel like will pay massive dividends.
Oh, absolutely. And I also thought, to that end, it was a really nice little tidbit to kind of mention Archie Goodwin, mention Malik Monk, mention Marcus Monk, kind of throw that olive branch out there, because those guys, fans have been really divided on those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they made a decision that they felt was best for them. They didn't go to Arkansas. It is what it is. A lot of fans still feel kind of hurt by that. But, you know, Malik Monk tweeted out earlier today, I'll be in Bud Walton Arena. That was kind of a big deal, honestly, because of the history behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's another facet of the Cal effect, is what I've seen online, is you're going to have these NBA guys like Malik Monk and, you know, all these former players that will probably be at Bud Walton Arena, which is just going to help grow the brand. But on a personal level, I agree, having having that olive branch, having that, that handout to the monks, I think that'll help repair a lot of uh, burnt bridges, I might say, between the state and some of those guys.
Well, and I think too, I've mentioned this on social media, and I think I've had a little bit of pushback outside of Arkansas, but Arkansas fans have largely agreed with me. Calipari is kind of a brand in and of himself, uh, but so is Arkansas basketball. Arkansas
Mhm.
basketball is a national brand. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, it's a top national brand. It is a blue, but I'm not saying any of that. But Arkansas basketball is a brand. It is a strong brand. It is a national championship winning program. It is one of the most historic. It's a top 15 program. The branding's strong. It got much, much improved under Eric Musselman.
Mhm.
Calipari even mentioned that today. Eric Musselman made it a one and done destination, which is huge. Eric
Yeah.
Musselman landed 4 McDonald's All Americans. So uh, that, again, massive. Uh, Calipari can take that to the next step because Arkansas is capable of doing it, but also because Calipari is a big brand himself. You know, people want to talk about Calipari and Big Blue. Calipari was successful because of the Big Blue brand, but I think he's good enough of a coach, big enough of a brand, impactful enough of a recruiter. He can do all that at Arkansas just as at that level, even.
Yeah. I mean, he's been successful at every stop. It's not, I mean, Kentucky is the longest, right? 15 years, but I mean, he was successful at UMass, and then he was successful at Memphis, and then, he's successful at Kentucky. So as far as the program making the coach, I don't think that's the case with Cal, right? He stepped in after was it Gillespie that he took over for, right, back in 2009, and within 3 years had them rolling. And so he's a good coach on his own. I don't feel like it was a situation where the coach or the program makes the coach.
Absolutely, 100% agreed. Looks like we're running out of a little bit of questions here. Let's see. What about Coach Cal's son being on staff also by Michael Baylor? I think there have been reports out there that he's expected to be on staff. Obviously, he was there tonight. I think he actually got off the plane in a red suit. I thought that was a nice touch. But other than that, Daniel, you have anything else to add?
No, not anything. Not anything
I
on my
have one
end.
last final question if we're not going to focus on anything else presser related. But John Calipari is now the head coach of the University of Arkansas men's basketball team. What are your expectations, especially for year one? We'll make it a two-parter. What are your expectations overall? What are your expectations for year one?
That's a tough question. As far as expectations overall, I feel like he should be able to take what Eric Musselman has done in the last 5 years, sans last year, and build upon it. I think expecting Final Fours and national championships year in and year out uh, is probably bad as far as expectations go. But I feel like Arkansas should be competing for SEC titles, and not finishing in 9th, 10th, 11th place in the SEC. As far as year one, it's too early for me to put an expectation out there. Just there is nobody on the roster. You assume with NIL that it's going to go well, but I mean, Kansas had the best NIL in the world last year and finished with the round of 32 blowout loss. So I would say probably early expectations, just being cautious, would probably, like, they have to make the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's a scenario where Cal doesn't make the NCAA tournament in year one.
No, completely agreed. I think from going year one expectations, NCAA tournament, and then we'll look and see what the roster looks like, and I can adjust from there. 5-year outlook, I think, Arkansas fans, part of the criticism with Eric Musselman was a lack of sustained regular season success.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Cal has been really good at Kentucky, even without the tournament success recently, he's still finished in the top 5 of the league in the SEC. He still won games in the regular season, still been top seeds in the NCAA tournament, just got upset. I think having that more sustained success in the regular season, making I'm going to say at least making the second weekend of the NCAA tournament like 3 times. That can be 3 Sweet 16s. or it could be like 2 Sweet 16s and a Final Four. But I think if you just make the second weekend 3 times, plus add more sustained regular season success, on top of the branding, the recruiting, and everything else that we know is going to come along with it regardless, because that follows Calipari wherever he goes.
Yeah.
So I think all of that combined, it's just going to be it's going to leave the program in a really, really great position. I think it's trending very much upward.
Yeah, I agree. It's it can only go up from here, as it would be the way that I would, or it should only go up from here. Would be the way that I would put it.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have. Don't want to take up too much time, and it's been a busy week for us. But Daniel, thank you for hopping on here. Sorry, I was a dum-dum and muted my mic for the first like 30 seconds, but thanks for hopping on, and looking forward to talking to you throughout the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Or off season, I guess.
It is always basketball season now.
It
that,
is.
now that we've got Calipari here. So, yeah, looking forward to covering the rest of the portal and stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for joining in. Go over to HawgBeat.com, HawgBeat.com. Subscribe to our premium message board, the Truff, if you're so willing. We have plenty of free content over there as well. Again, staff writer Daniel Fair, basketball analyst Jackson Collier, JC Hoops on Twitter. Thanks so much.